grounded. He will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Wednesday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. We got all kinds of things to discuss. NBA Finals, Game 3 tonight down in South Beach. Did Miami crack the Denver code the other night? Is Nuggets offense or defense more the problem? All kinds of things to break down with the NBA Finals. Pivotal Game 3 coming up tonight in Miami. Women's College World Series final series will start this evening. 7 o'clock at Hall of Fame Stadium. I'm going to ask Jared to do something that most people think will be pretty difficult. And I'm going to have him paint me a picture. Tell me how Oklahoma ultimately loses this series. And if that's even possible. A lot of discussion going on about moving this thing. Got some thoughts there.
By who?
The other fans. Listen,
By any reputable sources.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm all for it.
Just to prove them all wrong?
No, I'm all for it. Under one condition. And I'll tell you what that is here in a little bit. And then, of course, the LIV PGA Tour deal. Details starting to kind of emerge as far as who knew and when. How long has this been in the works? Man, people are mad at Jay Monahan. One of the cool things I think about this, though, is they're going to be able to pick and choose certain parts of the LIV golf experience and incorporate it into the PGA Tour, and I think the team concept is going to be a big part of that. And then some other things to go on, and then what's coming up, what's going to happen with this deal. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That's 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things or whatever else might be on your mind. Feel free to chime right in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, a couple of ways to stay in touch with the show. You can log on to kadsam.com. You can also check out the Paragon app. It's got it all, and it's free. Radio stations, Penny News. Brand new edition of that Penny News hit the website last night at midnight. Check it out, thepennynews.com. Pick up a free copy of the print edition of the Penny News coming up. Some areas tonight, by tomorrow, everywhere we'll have the Penny News. Then, of course, the Skinny on Sports podcast. If you're looking for it, you can find it anywhere that you digest podcasts. All the different formats, it's there. How are you doing this morning, Jared Atha?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. What we got going on today? Anything of note?
Just normal day, and then anxious to get home and get ready for Game 1.
Game 1 of the Women's College World Series. Just got sent a video, and I had it pulled up on Twitter. I thought it was to play later on. About with the ladies, the OU ladies, and kind of their mindset going in. I thought it was something you don't hear a lot in sports these days, and quite frankly in America these days. I'll find that.
Okay.
We can play it. Gosh, what a wild ride it was yesterday. Starting about right now.
Yeah. Have you unraveled it all?
There is, well, I don't even think the guys that have made the deal have unraveled it all as far as everything that's going to take place. There are some details starting to emerge, though. You know, there's the players only meeting last night. Sounded like that didn't go great for Jay Monahan as far as the vitriol that the players had toward him. I don't know if it definitely needs to be directed that way, because he said some pretty ridiculous things that he ought to be lambasted for. But he really kind of wasn't the head of the snake as far as the negotiations for this. Ed Herlihy and Jimmy Dunn, along with, I can't say his name, Al Suman, whatever. They were really kind of the ones that got this thing off the ground 7 weeks ago. And then Jay Monahan kind of was the closer as far as coming in after those initial overtures were positive from the Live side. Not even really Live. It's more the investment fund, the PIF, which that guy with the crazy name controls, to the tune of $650 billion. And I think ultimately at the end of this, from the PGA Tour side, it's going to be a heck of a deal. Because now they squashed the competition, whatever there was from Live. But they also, not only they squashed that competition, but then they also gained control of that money.
Yeah.
And I think they realized as this thing started to drag on that the litigation aspect of it, Liv had so much money that PGA Tour couldn't compete. And so I saw this online a couple of times, and it really kind of is. It's like The Office. And Dunder Mifflin buying the Michael Scott Paper Company.
I've seen that more than once yesterday.
I mean, that's kind of what we ended up with here. Because Liv really had nowhere to go. They really had no chance of succeeding. The difference is here they had unlimited supply of money. I don't know that the Michael Scott Paper Company had that, but they talked him into it.
But like the Michael Scott Paper Company, they weren't going to quit.
That's right.
They were
That's exactly right.
Keep going and keep going and keep going. So PGA saw, well, let's just get ahead of this and get them.
I think ultimately that's what they did. There's a lot of different factors that are in play with that, but at the end of the day, as deep as the PGA Tour coffers go, it pales in comparison to the public investment fund that the Saudis control.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. They took the money, and I guess Jay Monahan in that meeting last night with the players in Canada basically acknowledged how hypocritical everything he said was. He tried to kind of backtrack from that a little bit with the old, well, I was, using the information I had available at the time argument, which not, but it falls on deaf ears here, at least for me, because of the way that the tour act in this span of Live Golf. And the truth of this is, it was never about anything but money. In the Live side of it, acknowledge that. How many players did we see when asked about it? They said, yeah, it's a way to secure. It's like a retirement plan for me, while being able to enjoy golf, but I can enjoy my family more. The Live part, the Live guys, the guys that left, almost all acknowledged, yeah, of course it's about the money. But the PGA Tour side of it, and a couple of their media mouthpieces who should have resigned yesterday. Brandel Chambly should have never, ever been on the Golf Channel yesterday if he believed the crap he was spewing for the past couple of years. If he believed it that much, he should have resigned, because the people that he's on there with are controlled by the tour. And it was clear all the time that was the case. But the politicization of this whole thing only came from one side. It only came from Jay Monahan, Brandel Chambly, and all their media shills for the PGA Tour. The Live never did it. The Live always acknowledged what they were. And that's why everybody's pissed from the player side of it. because they stuck their neck out and got stabbed in the chest by this deal. And, I mean, not to mention, how many of those guys turned down 9-figure deals?
At the fear of repercussions from PGA?
Or just because they believed in what the PGA was selling.
Right.
You know?
Like, followed them blindly, in a way.
Yeah.
No matter what. Right.
And right now, Rory is meeting with the media, taking it on the chin because he was as outspoken as anybody, as he was turning down reportedly $400 million. How do you think Tiger's doing right about now?
Oh, yeah.
Reportedly $800 million. Turned it down just to have the tour take the money. Maybe those guys don't care. Maybe it always was more about believing in what the PGA Tour was. Maybe. But for me, I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be just infuriated at what happened. And it sounded like that players' meeting, there's people, wanting him to resign right there on the spot.
Yeah. It reminded me, hearing what came out of that meeting, even Monahan acknowledging, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. It reminds me of when, if I get home or if I walk into the living room and I can't find my dog and he's cowered over into his little crate looking at me with his ears tucked behind his head, I know immediately he did something wrong. And he's acknowledging that.
Sort of.
It reminded me of, like, he's like a dog that knows he's about to get yelled at or in trouble or get a timeout. So does he keep his job? There is calls for it. Does he survive this?
I have no idea how. I have no idea how he can keep his job after this. You had plenty of those guys basically saying they can't trust him. He's a hypocrite. I'm trying to find that. He and Jim Nance all over last night. Once this deal was made, is kind of the. Here we go. Maybe this is it. The moment of why he is as hypocritical as what he is. When he got on national television talking about how he had friends that died in 9/11 and how they supported the families of the 9/11. You know what I mean?
Back when the Live started?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. It was June of 2022. And the outrage at the golfers that left. And I mean, it just falls on deaf ears now. Yeah, his last quote was, "I would ask any player that has left the PGA Tour or that would ever consider leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour?" In reference to it's obviously the Saudi money that was back in the Live Tour. I guess I would say, if I was a player right now, I would say, maybe now. Did you just force me to have to apologize for being on the PGA Tour? Because of what your stance was? That's what's so silly, is this was all so avoidable by just not taking that step. But the truth is, the tour had no idea how to react to this. And that was their first.
Well, they've never been challenged before.
That's right.
I mean, they've never had someone come up and challenge them. Yeah.
And their first response was to lash out and make it about something that it never was. It was always about the money. And now that's the proof, when the PGA Tour takes that Saudi money, that they were so against. I mean, it in a lot of ways, it's pretty hilarious the way this all worked out. Now, the good thing, I think the team golf that the Live created, I think that's here to stay.
Yeah, I never heard one bad thing about it.
just kind of reading some different ideas that could be out there moving forward. This all is going to start next year, 2024. The schedules are kind of the way they are. I think the Live kind of ends as we know it at the end of this schedule, and then there just becomes mega events. Back to the way it was. I mean, I really do hope that they incorporate some of those ideas, and team golf is certainly one of them that the Live came up with. Because it kind of listen. I mean, I've always thought that.
Yeah, embrace those ideas.
I don't know how much 54 holes. There might be a few, and I mean that's the thing. It's so up in the air, but there might be a few of those. Just reading some different things. Sounds like the quote unquote designated events that the tour came up with to raise the purses, to try to compete with what Liv was doing. Mm-hmm. Sounds like those will have a team concept to them, maybe kind of a year-long team thing. I think you're going to see the best players be on teams for TV.
Yeah.
So that, I think they're just as far as the game of golf, I think this is going to be a good thing for it. It's just a shame that it had to get turned so ugly by the way the tour reacted, and now they're getting sand kicked in their face and their teeth kicked in as they should. It's also an interesting aspect of this. So the DOJ, Department of Justice, had an ongoing investigation into kind of the antitrust stuff from the PGA Tour, and I promise you, that's another big part of this.
So break that down.
They didn't want to turn over their books. So everybody could see kind of where that money was going, how much money there is. And so you make this deal, that investigation goes away, and now you're kind of scot-free with the money. So kind of to wrap this up, what's something you would like to see out of this?
Well, a lot of the could you imagine, and we've seen a lot of it, where a lot of the bigger names went to those fun events that the Live had. And I hope they just embrace, I think the Live was born out of the match. Way back when they're trying to figure out something to do, and who was it? Was it Phil and Tiger? And help me remember who all that was that came out. It was back in COVID. Nobody was doing anything. They came up with this idea of just going out there, getting mic'd up, having a fun match and all that. And then that continued. And I think that kind of spurned the idea of the Live. I mean, just have fun with it. I hope the PGA just kind of, gets off their high horse a little bit. They embrace this ideology of having fun while golfing, which is what all of us like to do when we go golf anyways. We like to listen to music, wear shorts. I'm not saying go as far as letting them drink beer on the course or anything like that, but just keep the game fun. And I think the PGA can save face a little bit by continuing to do that, and they could put their label on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here thinking,
is there
any chance they're going to do that?
That's the thing, and that's my biggest fear is they're buying these guys out or partnering with them to take the fun away. They're like, no, that's not golf. We're going to buy you out. We're going to stop that nonsense.
I mean, there literally is some Shooter McGavin
feels like it
vibe with the tour versus, Happy Gilmore as the Live.
Right?
This is golf, damn it.
Yeah. Feels a little bit like that. Like they don't.
And it's kind
of, you got the judge on Caddyshack versus
Ty Webb. That's Chevy Chase. You're talking about Rodney Dangerfield's guy.
Well, that too, but Ty was a little bit more, free will and have fun while he golfs, and obviously Rodney Dangerfield too. Mm-hmm. But it felt, the staunchiness of it. And I get it. I get it's a gentleman's game. I get that there's a history to the game of golf, and there's a lot of respect that still needs to be paid to it. But I don't think you're showing disrespect by doing what the Live did. I think it actually, in a weird way, honors them. It's like, this game is fun. I just hope the PGA continues that mindset of let's continue to have fun with this. The 54-hole rounds, the shorts, the music. The
That's
mechanical bull, I mean, that might be a little too much for the PGA, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, the question was what's the line between gentleman's game and out of control?
I know it's a little blurred. It can get a little out of control, but I mean, I'm a very minimal golfer, but I've played a few scrambles where we're having fun and we're joking with each other. And shoot, we're going, hey man, $5 you don't make that putt, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're taking our hats off and we're shaking hands. And having fun, and we're able still to go back and go, I had fun today. I shot horrible, but I had fun today. That's what golf can do.
I mean, there's a line there for sure. I mean, every event can't be Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're saying. Yeah,
but at the same time, it's okay to have Phoenix. The shorts doesn't bother me. Now, I know there's no chance in the world that happens at Augusta, which is a totally different thing anyhow. But the shorts don't bother me. The music part of it doesn't bother me. If the vibe of the Live was pretty cool, and it's kind of an old versus young in a lot of ways too. But I think that it makes it more relatable to what you're doing on a daily basis. You go out, last night we didn't get to play in the scramble, but if you did, every group there's going to be somebody playing music.
Of course.
It's just become kind of the thing.
It's almost a necessity.
Yeah, it's weird when you don't have it.
Right.
It seems really quiet, And so,
I mean, last time I went, I almost forgot, or I did forget, a speaker. Fortunately, our man Gabe, he let me use his cart. He had a speaker in his cart. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we don't have music. It's going to sound weird coming from my phone. Fortunately, he had it. Yeah, it's I almost turned around to go get a speaker. I probably would have went to Walmart and bought one if I couldn't. But I mean, there is a line. There is a line, and I totally get that. But I think the PGA has an opportunity here to, one, save face if they can kind of embrace some of the ideas that the Live has shown us that works, and two, have a chance to make a lot of money.
Oh, I can't wait to see exactly what that is, because it's bukus for them to do the about face that they've done. But I think ultimately it's good. I think ultimately it's good for golf, what happened yesterday. We're going to get to start seeing the best players playing against and now with each other in some of these cases. And that's what everybody at the end of the day, I think, wanted. There's some quotes from Rory. I still hate Live. I hate them. I hope it goes away and expect that it does. And I think that's something that we've got to kind of realize. Live Golf and the Public Investment Fund are two separate things. Because who has been conspicuously absent from this the last day and a half?
Who's that?
Greg Norman.
Oh, he's stewing somewhere.
Greg Norman is Live Golf, but he's not the Public Investment Fund. And I think that's something that we're going to have to start kind of we've got to separate those two things from this, because Live Golf is going to die because that money.
The name Live is gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
But the
Saudi money was Live.
Right.
Now the Saudi money is with the PGA Tour. Live is see you bye as a tour. Rory said, another quote from him, "It's hard for me not to sit up here and feel somewhat like a sacrificial lamb."
Was that him saying, I may have made the wrong decision?
No, I think that's him saying, I trusted Jay Monahan and the tour's side of this, and now they stab me in the back, and I feel like everybody's taking pounds of flesh out of me because I was the face of it, while Jay Monahan is sitting in some damn office somewhere not having to worry about this.
Yeah.
That's what I think he's saying.
Yeah.
And for sure.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, and he ought to feel that
I
way.
kind of sympathize with Rory right now.
Well,
Don't
I mean,
you? I mean,
100%.
listen, how many times? Yeah,
100% I do. Here, I finally found this. Here's why. So listen to this. It's going to start out with Jim Nantz. Make sure there's nothing crazy. I mean, it's literally from national television, so just an ad or something here at the first.
Oh, all right. Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Sent a letter to the representatives of Phil, Dustin, Bryson, Reed, and others, quote, expressing their outrage towards the golfers.
Oh, come on. Buffering.
Well, that can't be a good sign.
Yeah, I know. How's that working out for you?
That sounds great. Yeah.
God damn it. We'll see if we can't get it caught up here when we come back, but hear from Jay Monahan. But 100%, Rory ought to feel like that because he was sent out to do the tour's bidding throughout all this. He has been the face of the PGA Tour.
Right.
And now when push comes to shove, he kind of looks dumb. It's almost like the PGA Tour is blocking this video from playing.
You tried other videos?
Yeah. I tried a couple of different places to get that sound, and it's like they're not allowing it to be played. Anyhow, welcome back. Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Jared, Women's College World Series tonight begins in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma making their fourth straight appearance in the championship series. They've won the last 2 titles. Florida State is making their third straight trip to the final series when they've been in Oklahoma City. They haven't been there as many consecutive years as OU has. But for the third straight year that they made it to Oklahoma City, they are in the championship series. They won it in 2018. They lost to Oklahoma back in 2021. I want you to paint me a picture of how the Seminoles defeat the mighty Sooners.
Well, the rotating pitchers is a key. If they do that and it stymies the OU bats long enough and Florida State's offense comes alive, I mean, what's her name? Endenfield has had a good series and, produce enough runs. That's the only way I can see it. That and if Jordy Ball's arm just straight up falls off. It's hard for me to see it, but the rotating pitcher thing, I think it is a thing, but that is incredibly hard to say when they got a great pitcher in Sandercock. And it kind of baffles the mind, but we've always said you've got to do the crazy things to try to pull off historic upsets, especially against a team like OU in this sport. So it wouldn't shock me even if Sandercock does not get the start, because I thought that's what was going to doom OU against Stanford a couple of days ago was Kennedy did not get the start. They come out, get a 2-0 lead, and I thought, oh, great, now they're going to put her in. And OU's going to run out of at-bats to try to tie it or take the win, and I think they put her in too late, to be honest with you. But it's going to be a combination of perfect things like that to happen for Florida State. But Oklahoma's bats just, I think, is going to – because all season long, and I've said this too, they got great hitters. Let's not kid ourselves. And Coleman and Jennings, I mean, you look at their averages, the list goes on. But they don't have the Jocelyn Allo. That one dominant hitter that is potentially can go yard every at-bat, that's setting records, that have set records. They don't have that. And there have been times, if you go back and look, yes, there's the win streak, but there's been some close games, and there's been some, tight ones where they've down their last strike, most notably Clemson. So and that can get them. And that Baylor loss was part of that. The bats went absolutely cold. So I will, if the bats go cold and Florida State's pitching is absolutely perfect, that's really the only scenario I can see it happening.
It's really interesting. There's an article on ESPN right now talking about the Florida State season and how Sandercock stepping back and kind of relinquishing some of her role inside the circle has led to this. And they reference the 2021 season. And this is something that you see less and less of in softball as time goes by. So in that 2021 year, Sandercock threw every inning of every game in Oklahoma City. She won, and then by the time she gets to the championship series, she won game 1,
right,
and then ran out of gas. And so that won't be the case now. That's it. 6 different pitchers have started games for them this season. Only 4 did in that 2021 year. They've had 7 total C time, which that's actually more than OU. OU's only had 4. Yeah, I think that's it. I think the pitching of Florida State being able to hold OU down, just like what we saw from Stanford, to where one swing can be the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's just like Stanford just never was able to do it. We talked about the Baylor loss yesterday. It's really nobody's been able to put together, outside of maybe Clemson in Game 2, put together consecutive hits to kind of ignite a rally and keep that going. You know, consecutive run-scoring hits. You know, the Baylor game, you gave up 4, but it was one swing, accounted for all 4 runs. Whereas Clemson was able to actually, string together a few hits that scored runs in those moments in that second game that the Sooners ultimately won. So that's what I think that's it. Hold OU's offense down enough to where you can, one mistake, one ball out over the plate can be the difference. Because if it has to be more than that, it's hard to imagine Oklahoma losing.
You take much stock in that they've played before.
I think,
which was way pre Big 12 play early in the season. It was a 5-4 OU win where they had to come from behind to win that one too.
I think it probably, kind of. I mean, you've seen Sandercock multiple times.
She started. They knocked her out in 2 innings.
And listen, there's some players on the OU side of this that saw her in 2021.
Yeah.
But I do think that Florida State has the best mix of offense and defense to combat what OU does. It felt like Tennessee's offense was awesome. The arms are a little bit suspect. Mm-hmm. Obviously Stanford had the arm, but their offense wasn't very good. This feels like the team that is the most complete, and it would be the toughest challenge for Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's going to take the OU bats, I think, to start early. The longer it goes 0-0 or even 1-0 OU lead, it's going to have to take their bats to get going early. I feel like they need to attack and jump on them quickly.
Yeah. I think that's right. And having said all of that, I don't see it.
I don't either. We keep trying to draw out these scenarios where we could, and I'm standing on it, man. I've said it over and over. I'm not picking against OU because of this win streak. Until a team beats them, I can't pick against them. It's hard for me. I just don't see it. And that's taken nothing away from Florida State. I failed to realize that stat you told me. If I had realized that at the beginning of this series, beginning of this tournament, I would have picked Florida State over Tennessee to make it into this game. Because when they get to Oklahoma City, they get to the finals. They have the last 3 times. And that's a testament to a good program and a good coach and everything, and Sandercock, all of them. I mean, they're a experienced bunch. Another key for me is Endenfield. If they can tamper her down a little bit. Again, she's had a good tournament. Seems like every time she comes up to bat, it's one of those kind of stop what you're doing. This girl can hit. Watch what she's going to do.
Okay, so
She went 0 for the last time against OU, by the way.
here's Oklahoma by the numbers. This is courtesy of Seth Oliveris on Twitter. Through the semifinals, going into the game tonight. 59-1. 28 wins were run rule wins. They've scored 493 runs, given up 58. They've hit 115 home runs. 34 of those wins have been shutouts. And here, I just got this text too, and this is another secret that maybe gets overlooked for what Oklahoma does. In 60 games, they've only made 17 errors. They don't give you anything.
The stat that stands out to me is they don't lose series. They don't lose. The last time they've lost consecutive games was 2019.
I don't think they've won. I don't think they've lost a Big 12 series since 2011.
Yeah, but like any kind of back-to-back game or something. I forget the stat, but my point is they're not losing a 3-game series. They don't. They just don't.
Well, they haven't literally since 20 Alabama in the championship series. Is that the last time they lost the series? It's got to be, right?
I think so.
Because I'm almost positive that Big 12 stat goes clear back to 2011. Missouri, I know, is the last team to win a Big 12 series from Oklahoma. That's nuts.
It's incredible.
It's nuts. So I mean, it's the pressure that they put on you. They've only committed 17 errors. Like I heard yesterday, the teams have committed 58 against them. So like, in a lot of ways, they force errors because of the pressure that they put on the other team, knowing they have to be perfect. You know, and they get people to try to do things that they can't. Try to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play this.
You know, in credit OU, you talk about pressure. We've talked about pressure to keep the winning streak going, pressure to get to Oklahoma City, pressure to win the whole dang thing. I think they've handled it nicely.
Yeah,
and it helps that this is a norm for them. Playing in this series is normal for them, right? I mean, that's a big part of it. That's a program standard for them. So really, you really kind of wonder, well, what kind of really pressure is there? But, you know, it has to be in the back of their minds. Like, we have a standard to uphold here. We have to continue this tradition of winning national titles.
Well, you don't want to be the ones that don't.
Exactly.
You know, when you think about streaks and you think about dominance, I mean, who wants to be the Elk City band that breaks a 40-year streak or what have you? You know, you don't want to do that because you'll be remembered as that. You know, everybody forgets the 42 in a row or whatever it is, or for Oklahoma, you know, the back-to-back, and it's going, oh, you guys were the ones that stopped it.
Right.
Yeah, there's a pressure there, but it's also, like you said, it
kind of begs the question, who has more pressure?
Oh, it's Oklahoma. It's not even close. I mean,
yeah, because no one's expecting Florida State to win. Yeah.
No. Now, if Florida State's able to nab game one like they did back in 2021, then I think the pressure on each starts to level out a little bit. Obviously, OU still has their backs to the wall. They have to win 2 in a row. But then on the Florida State side, you actually go, wait a minute. Could we do this? Wow. We just beat them. Can we do it again?
It kind of has an opposite effect if you get a lead. I think that's what happened to Stanford a little bit. They got that early lead, 2-0, and then they playing tight throughout the game. Am I making sense? Like, oh man, we're up 2-0. We got to be perfect from now on because they got an incredible offense.
Yeah, and it almost feels like whatever team can just play their game.
Yeah.
And not let the jerseys and that team in the other dugout affect their play is going to be the one that has the best chance to beat OU. Maybe it's Florida State, maybe it's down the road. But whatever one can just kind of put that out of their mind about who they are and what they've done and just go play. Hey, we're here for a reason too. We're pretty darn good.
Right.
But it's so hard. It's just so hard to do against Oklahoma. There's you hear this time every year about should this move around? That meaning the Women's College World Series. Should it move around? It's unfair that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State get to play in Oklahoma City. Obviously unfair. It's people point it, I think, a little bit too much as the reason Oklahoma dominates. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with moving this thing around under one condition.
And that would be?
You find a damn stadium that's just as big as the one they're playing in. A comparable situation. That's fine. Feel free to move it around as long as you're moving it to this type of place. And here's the problem for that move the series crowd. There's not one that exists on planet Earth. This is the one that exists in Oklahoma City.
What if they moved it to? What if they went to a baseball field, like a Major League Baseball field, and altered it? Brought in temporary stands for outfield, converted the infield to dirt. See what I'm saying? Would that work?
No. That's the beauty of what Oklahoma City has done in.
Because it is a true softball field. It's not softball being played in the infield of a horse track or something. It's a true softball field. Yeah.
And it would look ridiculous. Think about if you took it down to Arlington. It would lose all the charm that it has. Yep. Yeah, you got
the Big 12 tournament loses a little bit of charm when they took it from Bricktown.
Mm-hmm.
Bricktown seemed like a glorified college baseball stadium. In fact, there are bigger college baseball stadiums in the SEC than Chickasaw Ballpark. Yeah, you're right. It would take away a little bit.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt it would. Here's one.
I mean, listen.
If Oklahoma loses the first game tonight, how much does it bother them for game 2 with the streak being broken? Or do you buy into the fact that those girls say that they didn't know anything about the streak?
No, I've said it before. I don't buy in. They knew about it. They'll tell you they didn't know about it. It was probably one of those things like when you got a no-hitter going, you don't talk about it when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably like, we're not talking. Don't talk. And they just don't talk about it. But come on. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're on Snap, whatever. They know about it. They knew about it. They know what's going on. They're no dummies. And they acknowledge that they know about it after the streak was the record was set. Right?
Yeah,
Don't tell me, oh, we did what today? Come on.
I don't think they care as much about a winning streak as they do about raising another championship trophy. Now, if they both go hand in hand, then it's immortal and lives on forever until they get beat next year. But I don't think losing tonight, if OU has happened to lose tonight, I really don't think the winning streak being snapped bothers them one iota. It's okay. Now we got to win 2 in a row to win another national championship. I think the streak and all that just kind of goes. It's just cherries on top of what their goals are.
It really
makes sense.
It really is. There's you've read it. A book about the football streak in Wilkinson, and when that streak was broken by Notre Dame, there's that it talks about what Wilkinson was doing that night that the streak was broken. He was already getting ready to play Missouri.
Right.
Which was the next week. I believe it was Missouri. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He was looking ahead to the next game.
I think the focus is so much more on titles And if the streaks come along with it, that's great. All right, we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna play you some sound from I think it was Patty and Jada Coleman, Grace Lyons.
Okay.
There's something else about this team that nobody wants to talk about.
Everyone's talking negative about them outside of Oklahoma.
Nobody wants to talk about
celebrations
this,
and all.
But I think this is a huge part of their success. Wrapping up a Wednesday here. I thought this was, first off, awesome. But I think this gives you a little bit more of a peek into what this program is all about, what these young ladies are all about, and what Patty Gasso is all about, and the way that they answered. I thought this was amazing answers. It's Grace Lyons, Jada Coleman, Alyssa Brito, and also Patty Gasso taking this question, and I think they all answered. So it's a little bit long, but here you go.
We'll go to back row left.
Alex Scarborough with ESPN. For the players, I know you talked about keeping the joy of the game, but I'm curious, it's a long season, right? And you guys have had the target on your back the entire time, the win streak being number one. How do you handle the unique pressure that comes with that? How do you keep the joy for so long when anxiety seems like a thing that could very easily set in?
Well, the only way that you can have a joy that doesn't fade away is from the Lord. And any other type of joy is actually happiness that comes from circumstances and outcomes. I think Coach has said this before, but joy from the Lord is really the only thing that can keep you motivated, just in a good mindset, no matter the outcomes. Thankfully, we've had a lot of success this year, but if it was the other way around, joy from the Lord is the only thing that can keep you embracing those memories, moments, friendships, and all of that. So that's really the only answer to that, because there's no other way that softball can bring you that, because of how much failure comes in it and just how much of a roller coaster the game can be.
1,000% agree with Grace Lyons. I went through that my freshman year. I was so happy to win the college. I've talked about this before, but I was just so happy that we won the College World Series, but I didn't feel joy. I didn't know what to do the next day. I didn't know what to do for that following week. I didn't feel filled, and I had to find Christ in that. And I think that is what makes our team so strong, is that we're not afraid to lose, because if it's not the end of the world if we do lose. Yes, obviously we've worked our butts off to be here and we want to win, but it's not the end of the world because our life is in Christ, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think a huge thing that we've really just latched onto is eyes up. And you guys see us doing this and pointing up, but we're really like fixing our eyes on Christ. And that's something where, like they were saying, you can't find a fulfillment in an outcome, whether it's good or bad. And I think that's why we're so steady in what we do, and our love for each other and our love for the game, because we know this game is giving us the opportunity to glorify God. Mm-hmm. And I just think once we figured that out and that was our purpose and everyone was all in with that, it's really changed so much for us. And I mean, I know myself, I've seen so much of a growth in myself with once I turned to Jesus and I realized how he had changed my outlook on life, not just softball, but understanding how much I have to live for, and that's living to exemplify the kingdom. And I think that brings so much freedom. And I'm sure everyone's story is similar, but we all have those great testimonies that have really like shown how awesome it is to play for something bigger. And I think that's just what brings me so much joy. And no matter the outcome, whether we get a trophy in the end or not, this isn't our home. And I think that's what's amazing about it, is we have so much more. We have an eternity of joy with our Father, and I'm so excited about that. And yes, I live in the moment, but I know this isn't my home, and no matter what, my sisters in Christ will be there with me in the end, when we're with our King. So
it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I mean, you're talking about college kids. That's incredibly mature, too. I mean, these are still kids, right? More or less. And they're in their late teens, early 20s. That's pretty mature and impressive. And yet nobody will talk about that. I mean, you're not going to for those quotes. You'll see the headline yesterday about how they're unapologetic about their celebrations and all that stuff. And I'm like, why do you even have to answer that question about why they're celebrating something?
I wonder if people would actually think about what they're saying right there.
Right.
I wonder how stupid they would feel for criticizing some of this stuff.
That's true.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's hard not to root for these girls. I mean,
when you hear stuff like that,
yeah.
no doubt.
I'm not saying Florida State's bad and OU's
No.
good and whatever. You hear that they're not afraid to talk like that. Because so in today's world, people are so afraid to
profess their faith.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
No doubt. That's just, and that's it's
they're
sad
afraid of
that
who
you
they'll make mad, who will they offend, and I'm sure there's going to be back. That's the only reason we would hear it in the mainstream is because it made somebody mad. So that's brave of them and very cool. And it shouldn't have to be brave to talk like that, to profess your faith like that. Kudos to them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kudos to Coach Gasso for.
That
It feels like that is the root of this success is faith, and in this program, the success in this program, and starting like that. I had a great coach in high school who reminded us of that. We have a scripture. I won't say it, but look it up. Hebrews 12:11. We recite it before and after every practice and every game with every one of our girls, 8U, 10U, every one of them. And I credit John.
Yeah, Grace Lyons getting text is kind of the one that spearheaded that within that team. And she was the first one you heard speak there on the podium. More breaking news. I just figured out. I probably
merger?
I probably, yeah, it kind of.
What's that?
Lionel Messi is coming to America.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to join the MLS's Inter Miami.
Well, might tune some people into Major League Soccer.
Is this the foothold soccer needs?
We didn't once upon a time Beckham came and played in the MLS.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't really work.
Didn't work like people wanted it to.
He played in LA, if I'm not mistaken. Galaxy.
Yep. NBA Finals Game 3 tonight. It's amazing we've gotten through a whole hour of and just now got to NBA Finals.
Well, I mean, we're in Oklahoma. I mean, come on.
The softball
it's kind of king right now, or queen, I should say. Yeah.
Do you think that did Miami kind of figure out Denver?
We'll see. I think that's my answer. We'll see. Or was what happened? What was that Sunday night? An anomaly. We'll find out.
Do you think there's anything to this turning Jokic into a scorer?
Man, it's an interesting approach. Still feels like an incredible gamble to me. I think the key to all this is Murray.
Yeah, I think putting Kevin Love into the starting lineup to provide some resistance allows Adebayo to not necessarily have to become the main defender, keeps him a little bit out of foul trouble, also allows him to roam and maybe block some shots as the help, as opposed to just having to body up against Jokic. I mean, it's turned him into a scorer is kind of what you're hearing, but I think all that means is they just played him one-on-one, and they didn't help. And then without helping, now that doesn't allow the shooters to be open and start knocking down shots, which you can kind of sense that gets Denver going in a way that just Jokic scoring doesn't. As the ball's moving, everybody's playing free. So I think that's really all that means, is that they're just playing him head up and not leaving people open. So we're going to see that again. And it's going to be up to Miami's guys. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. was terrible. May see more Bruce Brown for Denver in Game 3. But here's the truth. Whatever Miami's doing on defense to try to combat Jokic, none of that matters if the Nuggets don't play better defense. The fourth quarter, I think Miami scored on 19 of 21 possessions. That is absurd. I mean, absurd.
Yeah.
Just the ridiculous defense. And, Malone blamed it on effort. But it took all that. That's what's crazy. is it took that absurd offensive performance, 17 of 35 from 3, scoring on 19 of 21 possessions in the fourth quarter. It took every bit of that for Miami to win by 3. I don't think it's quite to the level of Florida State having to play perfect against OU tonight, but it's kind of like that, right? I mean, we saw it happen.
If Miami pulls off the win tonight, they should consider moving the series because that's an advantage, right, playing at home.
Well, they've already won one on the road, Jared, so you can't.
We also got through the entire hour of not mentioning DeGrom out for at least 12 months.
Ooh, I didn't see that. I just saw the 60-day deal yesterday. I didn't see yesterday.
Tommy John surgery is coming for him. He's done. But did mention it yesterday. They're doing this without him.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's suddenly going to be taken out of the rotation. He's already been out of the rotation, just that he's not going to be back in the rotation, especially for a postseason run, if that is in the cards for Texas. So I don't think there's a lot of panic. I didn't initially panic. I thought I saw the news. Yeah, it sucks, but I thought, what changes? Nothing. I mean, they made the adjustment already on the rotation and everything, and then listen, he's not swinging a bat, so there's a lot of offense still there.
Did you see who might be showing up at OU games this fall?
Who's that?
Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah?
You know why?
No idea.
She was spotted in Arkansas with Austin Reeves. How about his life? If like 18 months ago you'd say, this is your life, Austin Reeves, you're about to make tens of millions of dollars, and oh, by the way, you've got T Swift dating you.
Wow.
Did you believe that one?
No. Good for him.
What a meteoric rise for young Austin Reeves.
That is insane. Yeah, I saw she was on the market.
Austin Reeves gobbled her up.
Wow. I mean, she needs more inspiration for music.
Yeah,
so.
that's the poor part about this is about 10 months from now when a new album comes out,
breakup songs.
Everybody's going to know that those songs are about Austin Reeves.
That's when you start thinking about the title of these songs. Missed Shot. Flash in the Pan.
One Hit Wonder.
Should have loved you sooner. One Hit Wonder. We could go on and on.
Yeah.
Not good for him.
Austin Reeves.
Good for
Swiftie.
him. I just recently, my 9-year-old is becoming a Swiftie, so I'm Taylor Swift music.
I don't even know what she plays anymore. What's her music?
There's one called Anti-Hero that my kid listens to on repeat. It's one of her hits right now. I mean, it's poppy stuff. I mean, that's what she is. But she's huge. She has a huge tour going on right now that, rain or shine, people are showing up for, selling tons of tickets. She's making tons of money.
I'm trying to remember the last Taylor Swift song that I knew about.
Shake It Off.
That's it, 100%.
Every time, because that song comes to my head, every time a girl gets hit by a pitch, I say, shake it off.
That's it.
And the song comes
That's
to
the
my
last
head.
one I knew.
Yeah.
It's Taylor Swift song I knew.
My kid's been listening to Taylor Swift. She's been singing at the top of her lungs in the shower. I could hear it all the way in the living room. There's worse things she could be listening to, I can tell you that.
It's probably true. Who would have ever thought? Austin Reeves.
Good for Austin Reeves.
Who would have ever thought? All right. Game 1 tonight.
We'll break that down tomorrow. And
Game 3 tonight. You think the softball will outdraw the NBA Finals in the state of Oklahoma?
If memory serves me right, it did last year. Not just in the state.
Overall?
I think so.
Oh, my. Everybody have a great Wednesday.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way